Hey guys, it's Max. Welcome to my video comparing the Crane version 1 gimbal that I've used for over a year, that I loved, my favorite gimbal that I've owned, just all around fantastic product, and as far as I know, the best single-handed gimbal, just easy to use, take it out of the box, put your camera on there, don't even balance it correctly or all the way, and go and shoot. Fantastic product, and pretty much everybody agrees that this is the one to get if you're gonna get a single-handed gimbal. Versus the version 2. Now don't get confused, this is not the Zhiyun, or however you pronounce it, Crane 2. This is the Crane version 2, so there is a difference. The Crane 2 is going to be out here shortly, and I hopefully will have a video on that. It's a larger gimbal. It supports about twice the weight, and also has focusing ability built into it. So this is the version 2 of this gimbal. The version 1 is no longer for sale on most websites, but there are people selling them secondhand, and people do wonder, should they upgrade to the version 2 if they have the version 1, or should they buy a version 1 for less money, since some people are selling them. Now, as far as performance, there really isn't any difference. I've used this for over a year, this for about 3 months, and the footage looks identical. So even if I did show you side-by-side tests, which I decided not to, you're not going to be able to see any difference. They both have the same type of encoders and motors. They both do a super good job. There's no micro jitters, and as long as you like practice how you walk, you're not going to get a lot of up and down motion. So that part of it is great. Now, what there is a difference is convenience and adjustability and stuff like that. And there are a couple things I prefer more on the Crane version 1. So let's go ahead and start getting into it. First off, weight. So when this thing came out, it supported 1,200 grams. Later on, they put out a firmware update that allowed it to go up to 1,800 grams. This guy out of the box supports 1,800 grams. Now, one interesting fact that not a lot of people know about is Crane was actually telling people, if you're using a camera system that's under 1,500 grams, do not upgrade your firmware. So I actually did not upgrade my firmware because I'm using the lightweight Sonys. They said that if you do that firmware upgrade, you're not going to get good performance under 1,500 grams. So very interesting. I didn't test it out myself since I was lower, but if you are shooting over 1,500 grams, do the firmware. If not, do not. With this gimbal, they don't say anything, just out of the box, it supports up to 1,800 grams. So there may be some kind of a difference, but as far as spec-wise, the encoders and motors, I couldn't find anything. Now, the first thing you'll notice, if you've owned a Crane 1 and you pick up a Crane 2, is the grip. This was one of my complaints with the version 1. The version 1 has a very long grip, and it kind of just gets in the way sometimes, especially if you want to pack it down, put it into a bag, it's going to stick out. So it's longer. So they actually changed out the batteries, and the shorter batteries allow them to make this grip shorter, which is nice. The new batteries get about 12 hours of battery life with 2 of them, which are included in the box, which is definitely nice. When I go out and shoot a wedding, I don't have to swap batteries. These last basically all day. It's fantastic. Now, the older ones, they got about 6 hours, but they actually included 4 batteries in the box, so you'd still get about 12 hours of battery life, but you'd have to charge 2 sets of batteries, bring them, and then swap them out when it does die, and sometimes it is inconvenient when they do die out. Now on to the next most noticeable part, and that is where you attach your camera. This has 3 different rails, and they have about 2.5 inches of travel, and so you decide how far you want to mount your camera, and then you can adjust forward and backwards for the lens or the weight. Now, the new version uses a quick disconnect plate. Now, there's actually a bolt in the back, so it won't accidentally come out, and I've never actually taken mine out. What it is really nice for is to have more travel forward and backwards. This is about 1 inch more travel, so if you have a lighter camera or a heavier camera, you can adjust it that way. Now, what I like most about this plate is that I'm able to adjust the camera sideways as well, not just forward and backwards. Where here I had 3 slots, I had to choose one. I didn't have any fine control. Here I do. So if there was ever a situation where you'd rather have your camera be in between one of these, which did happen to me, you're able to do that. Now, on top of that, I can remember how much sideways or how close I had the camera to this plate right here when I put it in. And so I can set it up really quickly, probably about twice as fast. Now, what would happen with the version 1 is I would put it in one of these slots, and depending on the camera and the lens, I had to mess with this bar a lot more often because I didn't have fine control of it sideways. So I would always put it in, adjust how much forward it is, adjust this bar here, and then I might have to adjust the forward and back as well. So it took longer to do that, where here I basically never find myself adjusting this part since I'm using just a few lenses with one camera. I'm able to just finally adjust it here. So it is a lot more convenient. Now, along with this setup right here, having 1 inch more travel going forward and backwards, you actually have about a 1/4 inch more travel on this top bar, on this bar here, and here. So all your axes have about a 1/4 inch more travel, which might not sound like it would matter, but I have had times where I needed a little bit more adjustment at the top bar here. Now with this one, I've never had that happen because I have more room here, and I also have the adjustments here as well. So overall, it does make quite a bit of a difference if you're switching out multiple cameras or multiple lenses on here to be able to adjust it quicker. Now on to the last physical difference between the two gimbals. As you guys see here, the joysticks are different. Here we have all the controls on the front, where here we have the on-off switch here, and then we have our zoom control on the side. On this one, we have it all on the front. We have a photo button, that also turns it on, and then you have your little zoom controller, and then you have your mode dial and the joystick. Now, Zhiyun said that this is a better version. It gives you more fluid control, and they preferred overall. That's why they switched over to it. This is where I kind of disagree for some reason, and other people may not agree with this, but I felt like it was a lot easier and a lot more fluid for me to control with this joystick. So this is kind of resembles like a PS2 or a PS3 or PS4 little controller, where you push it up and it actually flexes forward and backwards. So it feels more natural to me, maybe because I was gaming. This thing is flat and it doesn't really move forward and backwards. It just goes up and down and left and right. And just in my experience, I feel like I just had finer control with this. Now, this button right here actually also was the mode dial. So I could be adjusting the gimbal, double click on it, and I can change my modes, or triple click whichever mode you want to go into, where here I have a separate mode dial. And I feel like sometimes this one, I don't know if it just is my unit, I click it twice and it doesn't register, then I have to click it again, where this guy always worked out of the box. So those are the physical differences between the gimbals. Not a whole lot, but there are some things that make the new version improved overall. Is it worth upgrading if you have the version 1? Well, I think for most people, no, it's not. Performance is basically the same. And if you don't mind the longer grip and you have the time to balance your camera properly, it really won't matter. Now for me, when I'm shooting weddings and I'm out in the field and I can balance this guy twice as fast and every moment counts and I don't want to be missing any shots, that does matter. And also the battery life, not having it die and then having to swap out battery somewhere through the wedding, that is also nice as well. Now I will have an actual review video on the version 2 with example shots from different weddings that I've shot. So if you guys want to check that out, make sure you guys are subscribed and you guys enable those notifications. That will be coming out shortly. And then as soon as the actual version 2 Crane, or the Crane 2, I'm messing up myself, as soon as that guy comes out, we will be testing that as well. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions, you guys can ask in that comment section below. I'll have a link to this guy, which is currently on sale, and it's a fantastic gimbal. Zhiyun makes great products for great prices. Those links will be down in the video description. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.